Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode number 110 on ebayscavengers.com. So, we're talking about what's going on in our store this week.
Yep, and this week was tax week for most people. April 15th, which was Tuesday, was when everyone had to get their taxes in, and we saw a noticeable drop-off in sales. I mean, it was like a cliff almost.
Yeah, it was pretty slow. There was one day where nothing happened. It might have been Tuesday, where no questions, no offers, nothing was going on.
But we did keep selling, though. I mean, we say that, and we post our numbers to the blog at ebayscavengers.com, where you can see how many items we sold and the average price and all that. So when we say slow, we don't mean it's nothing sells. It just means that not like we like it to be, because we like to have a store that has a lot of activity, and we love getting questions every couple hours. We love, a sale every couple hours.
Yeah.
And, that happens to us because we have such a large inventory, and that's, why we always tell people just list,
Right. So when nothing's happening, you're like, what's wrong? But it always comes back.
Yeah. I mean, like today is a Sunday, so it's not really a part of last week in eBay's eyes, but it's not even, it's noon yet, we sold a bunch of things today. So that was good.
Yeah, so hopefully we're starting the week out. Today's a holiday. Well, it's a Sunday, but it's Easter. So I don't know. Maybe people will be buying on eBay on Easter. I hope so.
Yeah, I just assume that tax day came. People either didn't get the kind of refunds they expected, or they had to pay a bill.
Or they haven't gotten their refunds yet, since a lot of people really file on the 15th, which is a little nutty, but that's true.
Yep.
This week on Wednesday, we did a post on the blog, if you haven't seen it yet, about us redoing the house that we live in. And we were able to do that because we had an eBay business.
Yeah, we kind of like to show, as Ryan had been good, she was taking pictures throughout its process. So we have a slideshow where you could actually see our home over a course of 18 months?
Yeah,
24
something like
months,
that, yeah.
Kind of convert, and we even have like an office building behind there where we do all of our eBay now. And, we did that not to brag, but to show its motivation that, that's what eBay, selling old shoes on eBay has done for us,
I mean, part of it too was, we were making money and paying the guys that were working on our house week to week. I mean, if there was a week where we had to pay bills and money was tight, I mean, we'd be like, guys, you got to take a week off. But that's the amazing thing about eBay is, these guys were flexible, we were flexible, and, it took 2 years, but now it's done.
And for the most part, it kind of worked out because, anyone that's ever done any kind of construction work, there'd be weeks where it'd be raining too much or it would snow. So they couldn't come and work anyway, and that was great for us because then we would hurry up and list a lot and sell and try and make it's money to keep up. But the great thing was we finished our house with really out any debt, which was nice,
Right.
And the other thing is, that I think is really important for us is I really feel like that redoing our house kind of made us build an eBay its business by accident,
Right. I mean, we had some other tech work going on at the same time, but we were able to really ramp up eBay to help pay for those costs, for the big costs of the house renovation.
Yeah. I mean, so I feel like if anyone is thinking about starting an eBay store, that's why we always say know what numbers you're trying to hit. So, figure out what your burn rate is every month. If you're trying to quit at your job, you need to know how much money you need to actually make in a month. And then that's real motivation to make your store as big as it needs to be.
Right. I mean, there's some photographs in that post where you can see my desk. It's just a fold out plastic table in this house that has no walls. And I remember I was just we had number goals. I think we were we need to get up to, 1,500 items in our store. And I would just sit there on the computer and list while these guys are like building this building behind us, and so check out that post. I will link to it in this blog post as well.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear. Some people had put comments on there saying that they had done things with their, with when they were doing their eBay, with it's money it's making from that. I feel like its projects are fun and cool like that.
Okay, so last weekend was beautiful weather, and we cleaned and photographed a bunch of furniture. Our front porch, we have this like enclosed, screened in front porch that we've been like collecting furniture on. So we kind of had to like lift up all the sheets and dust off and clean all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, basically a lot of this is furniture is when we go to auctions or estate sales or thrift stores, and we just run across a piece of furniture that no one seems to want, and it's priced ridiculously cheap. So most of this, it's furniture we bought for $10 or less. And,
although last week we did buy, it's a 1919 Singer sewing machine. We bought it for $50.
Only because we had sold another one for $900.
$950.
So we're hoping to make that happen again. As we've said, it's, doing a furniture on eBay is new to us. We put up 3 things and sold 2 of those pieces and made a good amount of money from it. So we're hoping to put up a bunch more.
Yeah, I think this week I need to put that furniture up in our store. But the good thing is the hard work is done, cleaning it and photographing it. So now, honestly, the easy part is listing it.
I mean, it's, for example, about a week ago, we were at like a thrift store that we always go to, and there were some tables in the back, these side tables.
Yeah, these little like, basically like bedside tables. One of them was pretty scratched up on the top, but I knew that I could, I couldn't fix it so it was perfect, but I did a little bit of stain and then I oiled it so it kind of like blended in.
Right, and these aren't any kind of side table. These are Danish, a modern kind of side tables.
Right, they're signed by the designer. They say made in Denmark. So those are the things you want to look for because people are searching for that designer's name.
And the store, they almost dumped them. I don't even know if they charged us for them because we bought a bunch of stuff.
We bought a bunch of stuff. This was funny. And we were like, oh, yeah, we want those side tables. And so Jay brought them out like to the curb to put on the thing. And I think she was just like, they're all scratched up. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
So they might have been free.
Yeah, when we go to these more independent thrift stores and we bundle a lot because we always buy a lot of things, these are the kind of places that they just kind of are making up prices on the go.
On the
so
spot.
It's always hard for us to tell where the,
what's what. Yeah,
how much
you're
we're
just
being
like,
charged.
So I don't know. The price of everything was so cheap that I'm like, I don't even think she charged us for those. So hopefully that'll all be profit.
And then, as I've said before, we rented a storage space for, it's $50 a month. And I think it's 10 by 10, and that's where we're keeping a lot of this stuff now, this furniture. And I know, we don't like to carry these kind of, we don't like to pay a monthly fee. It's for things, but it's nice to have it off of our porch and kind of hidden away.
Especially because it's springtime and we want to like be out on our porch and not have clutter out there.
Yeah.
So this week we were reading the New York Times and we came across an article about carry-on bags for, when you're traveling on an airplane. I guess United is cracking down on people's carry-on bags, like really actually measuring people's carry-on bags. And so that means that a lot of people are going to have to buy new carry-on bags because their bags are too big for, a lot of different airlines.
And that's because, airlines are now making people pay to check a bag in. So what people do is they don't want to pay to check a bag in, so they try and bring the most amount of carry-on baggage they can.
Yeah.
And the airlines have been cool with it letting them be really big. I mean,
right.
We've taken huge bags.
On the back. Well, but I will say this, like we travel quite a bit and we are the kind of people that pack very light. Like we went to India for a month and we both had a backpack. That was it. And, so that's really something that we try to do is like, you'll never have a problem with carry-on bags if you just bring a backpack. But you know, a lot of people are not like us. So what he was saying in his article is the maximum length of the bag has to be 21 inches and a total of 45 inches, which includes length plus width plus depth, all together. So the cool thing is this guy was like, you know, I'm on a budget and I'm not willing to pay more than $150 for luggage, which is hilarious to all of us because we're like, that's a lot of money. So if you find carry-on bags that fit this measurement, it's not more than 21 inches and not more than a total of 45 inches, you know, everything added together, you can make some good money right now, probably, because people are rebuying luggage.
And, you know, and these are things, especially if you're going to estate sales or an auction where people's houses are being sold off. I mean, very often there's a pile of luggage right there, and that's always something to check out. I mean, we actually do really well to sell when we sell bags and... you know, yeah, like travel bags, duffel bags.
Duffel bags. And the thing is, most people overlook, we call it luggage or duffel bags. People overlook that stuff all the time because, you know, it just, a lot of duffel bags will just look junky, you know, they're like, you know, piled up in a corner, there's stuff on top of them, whatever. But if you can find good brand name bags, duffel bags, or any kind of travel bags, they go for good money, you know, $40-$50 for just a regular duffel.
Because they aren't cheap to buy new.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like this guy is like on a budget and he's like, I'll spend $150. Like that's great for us. So I'm going to link to the article in the blog post too, because it is interesting.
You know, it's this week we talked about it being slow, but we still did sell things. And the cool thing was, is this week I started to notice that we sold a good number of things that we had bought for like 25 cents or
50 cents.
It's 50 cents, you know, and we sold them for between $20 and $40. I want to really bring this home that that's the core of our business and that, you know, that's what really drives us, you know?
Right. So there was this one example. We found this like little desk organizer. It's just this plastic desk organizer to put pens and like, you know, envelopes and things like that in. And it was in the 50-cent bin at our local thrift store. And it was this like cool color orange, kind of like a 1960s, 70s orange. And we looked on the bottom, and it was actually signed by a designer, an American designer. Think, how much did we sell it for?
$40.
Oh, we sold it for $40. $40!
Yeah.
We bought it for 50 cents. You know, that's really an amazing profit margin.
Yeah, and, you know, I really feel like these things are out there if you have the eye it's for. And, you know, it goes back to, again, what we like to sell, and the foundation of our store are these one-of-a-kind, weird, cool, you know, older vintage items. And it's things like that. Because those are the things that very often people pass over at thrift stores and estate sales.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, a little plastic like desk organizer, you see those things at Office Max or whatever, and, you know, they just look generic and whatever. But I think the color caught our eye. You know, you don't see that kind of orange color. Usually they're black or gray or something. And then you flip it over and there's a designer signature. So that is like, that's fun to find those things.
Now, the other cool thing this week was, you know, we talk about bags. We love to sell briefcases because those always do well.
People love the briefcases.
Those old black, like Samsonite briefcases.
The hard shell.
They're awesome.
We sell them like crazy.
So I had found one, and I was going through it when I was taking pictures, and I found some old checks.
There are traveler's checks. So I think you found, let's see, $250 worth of traveler's checks.
Right.
But so this is the issue. The issue with traveler's checks is if they're unsigned, if there's no signature on it, you can just sign it, I think, and then you can cash them in. If it's signed, it has to be signed twice. If it's signed once by the person who owned, you know, the thing, you're kind of screwed. Right.
So is this man who had probably died and his stuff got given away, he had signed these checks just like yours.
Supposed to.
Yeah. And so they were from the 80s. And,
1983.
It was kind of a letdown. It's knowing we couldn't cash them. But what Ryan did, which amazed me, was she put them up online for the face value of them. It didn't really make sense because no one can cash them. And so we sold some of them. $100 worth, these 2 checks.
They were $50 checks of, I think they were American Express.
And they were bought by a prop company over in Hollywood. Yep. So I guess that makes sense. It's like it's so, and again, it's just one of a kind stuff that eBay is known for. I mean, it's not something you could ever sell on Amazon. You sell these old, basically, these pieces of paper that no one can cash in, but this prop company, it's one of them because I guess there's going to be a movie or a TV show and they need a close-up of old traveler's checks.
Right, and they have to be from that era. So they were 1983 because it had the original receipt. But I think the amazing thing was, we were bummed because we found two $50 and then another set of three $50. So that was a lot of money we found in a briefcase. I did not think that I would be able to sell them for face value, but I did make an offer on them. But this guy just bought them outright. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think that's a good example of, people who sell on eBay, it's really important just to really widen your imagination of who might be buying stuff. And, there are prop people, costume designers, people that work in it's fashion industry, and they need weird items that they just can't buy anyplace else. And, they have time schedules. They just want to buy it and ship it. So
so that was a great sale.
Very cool.
$100 sale on something that I wanted $100 for.
So let's go ahead and answer some questions that were sent in this week.
Now, we did do a Q&A post this week, but we still get questions on the sidebar, so we are going to answer those.
Yeah. I mean, and we're fine to answer them here, but just know that on every week we try and do a question and answer post just so people can get their questions answered quickly, or questions answered by people other than us, because we obviously don't know everything.
Right. Okay, so Debbie from Los Angeles asked us, how did you determine that the cover bind system that you sold was in good functioning order? Just a side note. Last week we sold a piece of equipment that binds, book pamphlets together, and it's kind of like a thermal heating system thing.
And we bought it for $15 and sold it for $500.
Yeah. So she says, I always get a little nervous when selling electronic type items that I'm not completely familiar with. Do you just figure that if there's a broken feature on it that they will just return it to you? I'm not sure how to handle the wording on something like that unless I can get it fully tested beforehand. So how do I do this? So for the cover bind, we figured out how it worked. I actually called the company to see how it functioned, like how to get the heat system to turn on, because it wasn't very obvious. So when I got that to turn on, since it's just a heating element, not anything beyond that, I saw that it was heating up. I saw that the lights said that it was heating up. And basically from there, I took a chance.
I mean, I think this is a good point, and I'm not sure if we have a good answer, other than we also get nervous buying and selling electronics and it's mechanical stuff. In this case, it's a pretty simplistic thing. It's basically a heating element.
Yeah.
So you can kind of test that and see that. But we actually stopped buying and selling like record players and certain kinds of cameras and old 16 millimeter and 8 millimeter.
Oh, the projectors. I had sold a lot of those, and then there was this one projector that I sold to someone in Florida. The thing was massive. It was so heavy. And I tested it and it seemed to work, but she tested it further and it didn't work. And I was like, never again. I'll never buy those again.
It's just, because, when people buy these things, they have a point. I mean, we haven't tested it completely. I guess we could say we don't know if it works.
For parts or something.
But then why sell something? Why am I going to buy an item that isn't going to be
unless it's
tested?
So rare. Right. That you're like, I'm going to get a huge amount of money for this thing, like a Rolleiflex camera, and you're like, don't know if it works, you fix it, that type of thing.
I mean, we will sell small items that are not old, but, electronic items, but those are easy for us to test and know they work.
I have a Betamax player. So I'm a video person, so I can test something like that and know that it's gonna work. So, something like that, I'm like, okay, I'll bring it home and test it. If it doesn't work, I'll get rid of it. But again, if you're not comfortable with testing it, you should not sell it. I mean, or, bring it to have it fixed if it's a really high dollar item. We did that with the Rolleiflex camera. We had it fixed. So it was fully functional so we could sell it for the highest price possible.
So it's really a case by case.
Yeah.
And, we also only fool around with items that we know are going to sell for a lot, $100 or more than that.
Right. Karen asks, is there a different address for garage sale? When I try the link that's on our blog on my iPad, it says it can't connect to the server. Yes, I fixed that on our resources page. There were a couple links that were broken for some reason. I'm not sure why they were broken, but I did fix those. So you can go to garage sale through our resources page, or if you Google garage sale, all one word, it'll come up.
And that's just a program for a Mac that helps people who sell on eBay to easily put items up to list.
Yeah, you can it makes templates and gives you like a cool layout for doing stuff on the Mac. So someone named Ogwill asks, I've sold 3 photography filters to the same buyer. The buyer has paid 1 shipping charge per item. So basically they went in and bought all 3 like separately. I can easily send all 3 items in a small box. Should I refund him the shipping charges for the other 2 items? And the answer to that is yes. I think it's good to contact your buyer and say, hey, I can put all these things in a box. It'll cost this much. I'll refund you through PayPal for, the remaining amount.
But I mean, even more, I think most buyers expect that. Like,
right.
They don't want to be asked to do that. You should just do that. Period. I think.
So the other thing too is your buyer might not respond and might not be like, okay, or just do it, So if that's what you're going to do, just do it.
It's Chris asks, he says, it's related to eBay, but since we did a video on heating our home, do you have any tips on cooling our home? It's getting a warmer and a warmer outside, and AC is expensive. So he's just asking because we had made a video on our wood stove where we heat our home for free.
Yeah, so what we're going to do this year, which we did a little bit last year, but we're kind of slackers about it. So number 1, in our main house, we do not have AC on purpose because we didn't want to pay for it. We do have ceiling fans in almost every room, so that helps a lot. But what we're going to do is in the morning of like a summertime day, we're going to shut all the curtains in our house, shut all the windows. We don't need hot air coming into our house, and basically make like a cave to keep the house cool. Now we have 2 very prominent skylights on the south side of our house, and usually in the summertime those things send in a lot of hot sunlight, which is not good. It really heats our house up. So what we did this year, actually, we had these skylight shades installed. So they're white, so they will let a lot of light in, but they won't let direct hot sunlight in. So we're hoping that will really diffuse, a lot of the heat that comes in our house. But mostly the idea is to really close off your house during the day when it's hot, so it's like a cave.
Now, we do live in the south where it gets very humid.
Yeah.
So it's not like we live where Mikey and Wendy live, or people who live out in the west where it's like a dry heat. It does get very humid. So in our eBay office, we do have an AC, like a window unit.
Yeah, so in the eBay office, we have downstairs is storage, which all the windows are closed off, so no sunlight or heat gets in there. But we have a dehumidifier downstairs. I actually bought a pretty fancy one that has like a digital like percentage, so you can just be like 50%. And that works well because we need our clothes to not get moldy. But upstairs in the office, like we work in the office during the day, we do have an AC that we put on like mostly to dehumidify the room because it gets so muggy and it's so hard to work in those conditions.
Yeah, because ultimately it is worth it to us because when you're really, really hot and it's really, really humid,
you don't want to work.
Yeah, your productivity really goes down. So I mean,
we invested in the AC for that reason.
So if anyone has any other ways to get around having, a huge AC bill, I'd love to hear it. But what I've found is that it's pretty easy to heat a house for free. It's really hard to cool a house for free.
Yeah, so we try our best. Okay, so the next one is from Deb, and she says, this is regarding item specifics area. I have read that Cassini likes this filled out often. I cannot due to vintage, unsigned items, or not knowing for sure the material. If I sold clothes and shoes, it might be easier because they have like a bunch there for you. Do you suggest I remove these blank spaces that are unused or just leave them? It's like eBay is telling me to finish the item specifics to keep my TRS status, top rated seller, but I can't fill it out anymore. I often put my clothes and shoes, even if they are vintage, in the clothing, like contemporary clothing categories because I want those item specifics. But if you know item specifics for vintage or whatever, you can add any item specifics you want. You can add brand, size, whatever. But if you don't know any of that information, I just leave them blank. They don't like you to do that, but if you don't have any information, if there's no brand, if you don't know the material, there's not much you can fill in. So yeah, I just leave those blank. Although you should know, there should be, if it is clothes and it is vintage, I mean, the measurements, the color. If there's a tag, the brand. So you should be putting those item specifics, just adding, those item specifics in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think with all this stuff, people get really freaked out about this a search engine that eBay has. It's like Cassini. It's like this HAL 2000 kind of thing that people are freaked out about. I mean, all we can say is what we do is we do the best we can. We don't even think about it. We just put in as much info as possible. Right. As what we say, we take good pictures, we write descriptions that are clear and honest, and, we find good items, So Cassini, in like any a search engine, they just like good organic stuff, Yeah,
if you have a good title, I mean, if you have something where you're like, I have an office organizer, there's no any information about it except the color. It's like, fine, just put that in the title. Make sure you have that in your title and your description, and that's as good as it can be.
I mean, like, even with this blog at eBayscavengers.com, I mean, we don't do any search engine optimization, like any tricks. We aren't trying to hide links, trying to get Google to see us more. Most we do is in the past 12 months, we've just tried to put up a lot of good content, and we post as often as we can. And Google enjoys that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good title, that's it. I mean, Google is searching those titles.
I mean, plus I find that, we put up good content, so people are linking to us. And then Google likes that. It's all really organic. So I think, again, we always say this. We put our time into, just trying to put up and make good quality stuff, and then things like that.
Right. Yeah, search engines will find that information.
Cool. One last thing. Some people use this forum to send us its questions, just to send us comments. So we got a nice comment. It's this week from somebody talking about their store and their history and how much they enjoy our blog. We really enjoy that. If for some reason, if you ever want comments back from us, then you need to send an email so we know how to contact you.
Yeah, so this form is great for questions because we can answer these questions. But when you write a very long, it's basically they wrote an email, which is awesome. Like, I want to hear from these people, but we can't email you back if it's just through the form. So our email is eBay Scavengers, all one word, lowercase, @gmail.com. And it's on the sidebar of the blog. So if you want to talk back and forth, right away, you can actually email us. You can also subscribe to us by email. You see that on the sidebar. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. Every Thursday, we do a Q&A on the blog, and we've been starting to put posts about different things on Wednesdays as well. So the next podcast is an interview with Susie, who is another eBay seller, who has actually hired a virtual assistant to help her list which we all know is the bottleneck, is listing.
And so she has really good info on, she's tried to find people that didn't work out, and now she's actually found someone who has. So it's a really interesting story.
Yeah, so listen to the next podcast, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.